Yakov ushers us into the Will Howard conversation. Thank you, Yakov. If Will Howard is a second-day pick, has Ohio State won a national championship?
No.
Second day is the second round. I mean,
he's not but the
first round.
Yeah, he could be a first rounder and they still don't win it. I mean, I'll keep saying it. This is going to be the most difficult national championship to win in the history of college football. So Will Howard can play damn good in every single game. And you know what? They're going to be playing other really, really good teams that have other really, really good players. So did Justin Fields lost to Clemson in 2019? Was that his fault? Was that, I seem to recall Chris Olave breaking off a route or whatever, like things like that happen, and quarterback can play his ass off and it doesn't matter. So I think obviously a second day pick is good news, but I still think there's so many variables that draft position has almost got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I agree. Second day pick is second round or third round, I believe. And, he's going to be drafted on his own merits. I think that he's got potential to be an NFL quarterback. I don't look at him as going in and starting anywhere the first day, but potentially, down the line as he gets in, and he's got the leadership gene, it feels like, and he's got the personality gene, and we're going to find if he's got the playmaking gene. That's one more thing we're about to find out. So, I'm bullish on Will Howard, and we'll get into the season and see if those feelings are validated, I guess, by how he plays. But I've got a good feeling he's going to do well for this team.
I'm unveiling national predictions on Thursday night, so we are just about 1 day away. So I better decide if Will Howard is capable of winning a national championship, because that is my biggest question nationally. And my thought process is that this guy is the 20th best quarterback in college football. And do I believe that a 20th best quarterback in the nation can win a national championship playing like the 20th best quarterback in the nation? And I don't think in today's game that can happen. But can the 20th best quarterback at Ohio State win enough during the regular season to get to the playoffs? Absolutely. He can be the 20th best quarterback in the nation. And I'm not talking about statistically. The 20th best quarterback in the nation with those weapons can have top 5 statistics. But I'm saying the 20th best quarterback in the country can lead this team to a top 4 seed and put them in position. But then once he gets to the playoffs, he has to play better than that. He has to elevate his game, because let's say they've got to get through Utah, an Oregon rematch, and Georgia to win a national championship. Carson Beck can't be the best quarterback in the nation facing the 20th best quarterback on that night. So that's an impossible calculation to make. But what are the odds of that happening? I'm having trouble pulling the trigger on Will Howard and the Buckeyes, unfortunately.
He can be the 20th best quarterback on that night as long as the quarterback he's facing is the 21st best. It's all relative, and a play here, a play there. But he may be the 20th. Well, he's the 27th in the preseason. Doesn't mean he's going to be the 27th by the time November rolls around.
Yep.
I think Alex Orji is 50th or something on that PFF list. I would expect him to be much higher by the time the game actually rolls around, just from experience and the fact that there's very little data to support putting him anywhere right now.
Yeah. My take is more that I believe Ohio State's the best team in the country. Georgia's got the best roster, 1 through a zillion, but it doesn't matter who your 75th best player is. That Ohio State, I believe, has the top group of 25 players, let's say. But does Will Howard, as quarterback and most important position, weight that down? That's the call.
I'm with you, because I have people asking me the same thing. Like, Ohio State's, is it natty or bust or whatever. And it's like they're not even the favorite to win the national championship. And they may have more talent at all the other positions, but you're going to be as great as your quarterback is good, basically. And we still have to find that out. I think it's a positive sign that he's already been named the starter, and he's got two really, really great offensive minds right there along with him in Chip Kelly and Ryan Day.
This is Pro Football Focus saying that Will Howard is the 27th best quarterback in the nation. Phil Steele says he's the 13th best prospect for the NFL. That's a completely different deal. Is it related? Of course, it's related, but it's not the same ranking. And then I saw him all over the place between 8 and 25 on various rankings from other people. Now, I'm not going to criticize this, nor am I going to confirm it, because I just found it this morning and I've not looked at the previous 26 on the list, which we could do here briefly. But that seems a little low to me, a little low. And I don't think that this quarterback class actually has a top end 2 or 3 like previous classes. I don't think Bryce Young's here or CJ Stroud's here to the degree that I don't think Carson Beck is that guy.
Well, I mean, and you scroll through this list, and I think 5 through 30 are essentially the same guy, basically. Like you can put them in, and you shake them up in any order almost. And, you can have people that are okay with it or people that hate it. And, I'm looking like Tyler Van Dyke at 15 based on his year last year. Like, I think a lot of this is based on what is like redshirt freshman year or whatever. DJ Uiagalelei has been the same guy pretty much throughout his entire career. I don't know that I don't Florida State is better than they were last year for having him. I assume they're going to be better than they were without Jordan Travis, but I don't expect them to make the playoffs this year with what they've got. Grayson McCall at 18, can he be what he was before Tim Beck ruined him? I don't know. Can he get that off of him that 1 year at Coastal? Cam Rising is the heart of a champion, but the knees of a 75-year-old. I was surprised that Riley Leonard is so low, because this tells me that this is a lot based on just data, or else the Riley Leonard Notre Dame hype would have him much higher. So it's hard to get upset at data because it's just facts basically, and how they look at them. But there's not. I think there's plenty of room to move, and there's nobody that I really, really like love, or like this guy is amazing, or this guy is clearly the guy. So I don't think, and I've talked with people, NFL people, that this is not a great year for the quarterback, but they're always going to be overdrafted just because that's the nature of the business. Now, the good thing is, like, almost everybody has quarterbacks now, and so they're cheaper to have in terms of drafting them, so you don't necessarily need to take one. But you can take one every year if you want, just because they're cheaper than they always used to be.
I would hope that this is a holistic approach, meaning I always start every analysis with the data, with the statistics. And then people sometimes accuse me of overvaluing the statistics. No, that's a baseline. That's where you start. If you say, who are the best hitters in baseball, you go with the statistics first and you grab the stats. Then you start to talk about all sorts of nuances around that. Now, this is more of a team game, obviously, but you do the same thing with quarterbacks. Who has the best stats? And then you start to talk about, okay, who's hindered by a bad offensive coordinator or a system that's not conducive or doesn't have the weapons or does have those things, who's got an offensive line. How much of this is just stats driven versus how much of it is projection driven, that Drew Aller is going to be the 5-star that we've expected him to be? How much of this is projection? And when you look at those stats, and Drew Aller would be a perfect example last year, you just look at the stat line, he had a nice season. Sure, the completion percentage could be a little bit higher, but 25-2 touchdown to pick ratio, that's amazing. No, watch the games. It was obviously ugly for him against Ohio State and Michigan in particular, and even Indiana before he bailed them out with a long touchdown pass that was probably his best play of the year in a clutch situation. But again, lack of downfield separation from wide receivers hampered him. So there's a lot that goes into the evaluation. So I would hope that there's a bit of a holistic approach to this. Yeah, Tyler Van Dyke, he was a mess last year. Now he did get hurt. I'm a big KJ Jefferson guy. I think he's really good. I would have never said that because his first 100 passes in college football, he completed like 45. But he's turned into a high 60%, like 69% guy since then, with 21-5 and 21-4 TD to pick ratios.
I'm still way off of the Jackson Dart bandwagon. I guess I've only seen him play not great in the Ole Miss games I've watched, but I know people swear by him. But again, I think that's also a testament to the rest of the class. Like, it's just not there this year.
Yeah, it's not an elite class, but the further I go down, and I'd have to compare it against other years, but it looks to me like a deep class of capable quarterbacks. Miller Moss could really ascend this year.
Mm-hmm. He should.
So,
I mean, in that offense with what they like to do, there's no reason he shouldn't. Like Nico as well at Tennessee with that offense, he could be in line for something big. And I know people are talking up Haynes King. We'll get to see him on Saturday to see how that goes. Same thing with Kyron Drones at Virginia Tech. I'm seeing people talk about, somebody's going to win the ACC and make the playoffs, and Drones might get them there. Yeah, it is a requirement. It has to happen. So that means it's possible for anybody to do it. I don't think it'll be Max Johnson in North Carolina. I've never liked anything he's done in the times I've watched him. Thomas Castellanos at Boston College is fun to watch, but he's a wild card, and I don't know how wild Bill O'Brien's going to let him be. I'm fascinated to see what Curtis Rourke can do. I liked him at Ohio, but he had dealt with injuries last year. If he's healthy, he can do some things, but can Indiana do anything around him? I don't think so. And then Avery Johnson at 37. He's the guy that chased Will Howard out of Kansas State, if you believe a lot of people. He's at 37. So he's got some developing to do.
I thought you were saying 37 years old.
No, that's Peyton Thorne. He's ranked 38. He's 37. And now we can get into some Naked Gun type.
Where's Tuttle? Tuttle's banged around the minors for a few years here. Has he got a starting job somewhere this year, Tuttle?
He's battling Alex Orji.
Yep.
Oh, he's at Michigan on his 5th stop. Okay.
I thought Steve was going to follow up on an Avery Johnson. I thought he was going to take off on the old Spurs star there. I thought that's where he was headed.
But it is interesting. Cade McNamara, number 58, Alex Orji, number 61. A couple of notes there for the Michigan fans. Sam Levitt, former Spartan, number 66. Why? Yep. I don't know.
Who won the job over Jeff Sims at Arizona State.
No offense, Mark, but I think you'd have a pretty good shot of winning that job over Jeff Sims. No offense.
I would. I don't know. I could eat the football better than Jeff Sims and not throw it to the other team. I guess I could at least do that. They'd have to carry me off the field, but I could at least do that.
Just don't throw interceptions in the end zone.
I'm going to throw this one out there since we've got roughly 10 minutes, and I don't believe we've got any other comments or questions coming in. We do appreciate everyone's support today. All right. Our buddy Corey Brada. No. I got to finish off on the Will Howard. That's right. I was on Michigan podcast yesterday. Steve Dace. This was his question for me. I'm not going to say he's grasping at straws because I didn't accuse him of doing that to his face, so I wouldn't say it here. I do think he's trying to come up with a way, and he admitted this, to knock down this Ohio State would-be juggernaut, to say, if they're going to pound these two running backs and Will Howard's going to be running for 3rd and 5 first downs, don't they have all these prima donnas at wide receiver that are going to be like, where are my 50 catches? Are they going to have a disgruntled locker room, specifically in the wide receiver corner, because of the style of offense?
I don't feel like that's going to be the case. I don't sense that type of, even with the Buka, who you'd think is really counting on having like an 80 catch season to be a top of the first round pick, or, to get into the first round or whatever his stock would be. I don't sense that type of attitude from anybody connected to Ohio State. I just don't see it. I think that they understand the situation the offense is in with two great running backs. And I think that, they're going to have no problem building flashy numbers against 7 or 8 of these teams. I mean, now are their reps going to be cut down because the margin is lopsided? Possibly. But, that's a you problem. If you don't catch 50, 60 passes in this offense, then you didn't do enough, is kind of my feeling. So it kind of works both ways. You've got to run a great route, get open and make the catch. Will Howard has to make the throw, and the offensive line has to protect for him. It all has to come together. So, there's a lot of pieces of parts that haven't played together that have to lock into place for it to hit maximum efficiency. And do I foresee somebody having 90 catches on this team? No, I really don't. Is 80 a possibility? Maybe. The leader could end up with 70. I mean, that's just where it could be. So, I'm not too worried about, divas at wide receiver worrying about their catches. It's like, hey, win some football games, and I think all the rest of it will take care of itself.
I don't even know who is a diva that has played receiver at Ohio State in the last 20 years. The only like outburst I can remember from a receiver not getting the ball, it was when Michael Thomas was redshirting and was angry at the lack of offense in the bowl game and tweeted something out about it. Like and he wasn't playing. And so like, this isn't I should have gotten the ball. It's like, you're redshirting, and he learned from that. But like, I assume this is about Marvin Harrison or something like that. Talking with the Mecca Ibuka, if you've ever talked to him, the one thing you're never going to say about him is he's a diva. You talk to Carnell Tate, any of these guys, like that's not anything even remotely true or something that anybody would use to describe them. Even Jeremiah Smith coming in with more hype than any Ohio State freshman since like Andy Katzenmoyer or Orlando Pace. Like he's a quiet dude. He's finally got to talk to him. He was asked, do you embrace these expectations that people have for you? He's like, no, because I could go out and have, against Akron and do nothing, and people are going to think I didn't live up to something. All I can do is my best in the game. And, as long as we win, that's all that matters. Marvin Harrison, I think, had 2 games last year, 3 catches for 22 yards or something like that. 2 catches for 20 yards. Like, that happens. And Marvin Harrison was the best receiver in college football last year. So like, and I don't remember him ever going on social media and throwing his quarterback under the bus. And there are plenty of videos out there where he is being interviewed and people are trying to get him to throw his quarterback under the bus, throwing the quarterback under the bus for him, and he will rebuff them. That's NFL GMs. That's podcast hosts. Like, there are no divas. I dismiss the theory because show me some proof of it first.
Yeah, I think it's a theory that's not targeted at this Ohio State team, at these particular players. It is, as a general theory, that wide receivers are divas, and if you run this high-octane offense, that this is what they're expecting. And it's not Cornelius Johnson or Roman Wilson who were less regarded, recruited, and knew what they were getting into going to Michigan versus wide receivers that sign at Ohio State and expect to be superstars. So I don't think it's directed at these particular players. It's just the concept that wide receivers go to Ohio State to be stars and chose there over anywhere they could possibly want to go.
I mean, God forbid. I can't believe you went there to be a star. What are you, an idiot? You went to Ohio State to play receiver and be a star? Are you crazy? Yeah, I mean, it's natural. And everybody has their own path, and that's what the transfer portal is for. Just ask Julian Fleming.
Good points. I knew I would get them. College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.